What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Court Storm College Hoops Talk podcast, which you can find, as always, on the Court Storm Media Network. My name is Kanaye, and I'm joined with Josh. And today we are going to be bringing you guys a preview of the biggest game happening on opening night in college basketball this season between the number 3 ranked Florida Gators going up against the number 13 ranked Arizona Wildcats. Really pumped for this game. Unfortunately, I don't believe me or Josh are going to be able to watch it live on TV, as we, have some other games we got to attend to that night. But overall, we're just going to give you guys a preview, break down some of our thoughts and in terms of how we see the game play now, and we'll give you guys a prediction in terms of who we think is going to win. But before we get into that, if you like this podcast or anything else you see on the Court Storm channel, please tell other people, like our videos, subscribe to the channel, just spread the word about us. All it does a lot in being able to grow what we do here at the Court Storm. So let's get right into it. Josh, I'll ask you first. How are you feeling? Tommy Lloyd's Wildcats taking on Todd Golden and the Gator Boys, who are trying to stay hot in terms of starting their potential repeat journey, I should say.
Yeah, no, I really wonder where things are going right now particularly with Florida. They are the returning national champion playing on opening night. We haven't really seen that in, I think, a bit. And they're playing a tough challenge. This is probably one of the toughest starting challenges for any returning team coming into this season from the top 25 or let alone the top 5. No one's expecting to play any team like Arizona, which is not saying Arizona's not the best team in the world, but the environment is not in their favor. They're flying out to Las Vegas. They're playing in what is actually the Vegas Knights hockey arena, which will be reconverted on Monday for that event. It's not necessarily home court advantage for Arizona because it is taking place at 4 p.m. on a Monday on East, at least on Western time scales. But let's be real with you. It's not like U of A students have anything else to do. They're going to pack the crowd. I think they're going to make it a big deal on campus. It probably already is a big deal on campus because of how good this Arizona team looks right now. This is a surprisingly freshman-heavy team, which is not something Tommy Lloyd is used to. But Koa Piat, Braden Berries, Dwayne Aristode, they look really good. Toby Awaka, Monchevis Krivas. This is a squad that can also play a little bit deeper than originally thought. They did good in their preseason stuff, but we haven't seen too much out of them. And the same thing with Florida. Florida had, if I'm not wrong, one preseason game, and it was more of a secret scrimmage to Illinois. They won it. Yeah. Davian Lee looked good, which is a welcome sight. But we have to see how he's going to play and if he starts considering what's going on with Boogie Flan right now.
Yeah, I guess just to talk about the game itself, these games are always so interesting, these opening night clashes against 2 ranked teams to start off the season. And I feel like you always have to take these games with a grain of salt. And I almost don't necessarily like them. Of course, I love having an action-packed heavyweight bout on opening night. I'm not saying to get rid of them. It's just teams are obviously not finished products. They need to develop over the course of the season. They're definitely got some kinks they need to work out. And like I instantly think of Baylor Gonzaga last year. That opening night game had everyone thinking Gonzaga was head over heels the best team in the country in college basketball that year. And obviously, that's not what ended up happening. Baylor also ended up fuming out. They just weren't all too good of a team last year. And I will say this is a complete 180 from what Florida's approach was going into their non-conference slate last year, where the best team they played was North Carolina. And North Carolina barely squeaked into the NCAA tournament. Right off the bat, they're playing a team ranked 13th in the preseason AP poll. And I'm really excited because I think it can go either way. I do think Florida is the better team on paper, and I do trust Todd Golden more than I do Tommy Lloyd. But at the same time, too, Florida has they return their entire front court, but they do have 2 new guys handling the backcourt duties between Xavier Lee, like you mentioned, played really well in the exhibition game, which was definitely something that me and Josh had some concerns about, seeing how his game would translate to the high major level coming over from Princeton. But Boogie Flan didn't play. I'm really curious in terms of who's going to take on the point guard, like the true point guard duties for that team, which might be something worth talking about. But Arizona, of course, has 2 freshman studs between Braden Burries, Koa Pete. Koa Pete looked really, really good in Arizona's exhibitions. And I love the retention of Jaden Bradley. I think Jaden Bradley is one of the most underrated players in the sport. It's going to be a lot of guard play. It's also going to be a lot of front court play. Thomas Howe versus Koa Pete, I think, is going to be a great matchup at the three, which we should be getting between these two programs on Monday night next week. But overall, I'm really excited. And I guess I'll ask you now, going back to the question about Xavier Lee and Boogie Fland, who do you think is the true point guard for Florida?
That's definitely a hard question. I would still give it to Boogie Flans,
Yeah.
but if Xavier Lee actually plays the way that he did at Princeton, and we think that Princeton is smoother than both of us are thinking, I feel like Xavier Lee can be in the right role to play point guard more than he is a two. I still think he's probably the better shooting guard, if anything else, and I do ideally like to have both of him and Fland on the court at the same time. But
No stuff.
there is so much just diversity in this Florida lineup comparison to last year that I really feel like anybody could fit in between the 2 and 4 spots, given obviously height. I don't know if Xavier Lee is the best answer for the 1 or for the 2 right now, but he looks good. He looks good. If that's going to be a good transition to an opening day game in Las Vegas for a team that he has never played for, maybe, and it's going to be probably his biggest test of his young career. But
Yeah.
for sure, I think he can handle that. That said, and I'm going to throw this out here because I know we have to actually talk about predictions. I like how you mentioned that opening day games can be a little wonky. If you remember last year, Gonzaga had a home game in Spokane against Baylor. Both teams were ranked, if I'm not wrong, running into the game, and Gonzaga ran the floor with Baylor. Other than a little bit of VJ Edgecombe, it was all Gonzaga. They won by like 50 or some
And yeah, it was
insane number.
close.
And everybody thought Gonzaga was a national championship contending team.
I
And
did. I was all in.
yeah, I was all
That's
in too. I'm going to be completely real with you. I was really, really convinced, and a lot of people immediately hated Baylor. And when you look at the tail of the tape, both teams received, I think, the exact same seed, won one game in the tournament, and were never heard from again.
right.
So I think opening day games can get a little bit fussy. So I'm going to actually pick Arizona to win this game. I really feel like
Wow.
despite Florida obviously being the better team on paper, you're going away from home by a long shot. You are going to have this opening day crazy mentality where anything really can happen. And it's college basketball. It's still the wildest sport. And I really feel like Arizona is in the driver's seat in a way that Florida just isn't right now. Yes, you're coming back from a national championship. No one can be better than that. But repeating it is still one of the hardest tests, especially in this sport. And I just don't necessarily see Florida immediately coming to form. That takes time. It took time last year as well. So if you really want to be back in the same train again, you might need to start off with a loss. And that sounds weird, but it honestly feels right with how Florida has played their level of basketball in the Todd Golden era. You get hit, you learn, and you come back. And I just feel like for all these kind of reasons and well, it'll be a close game. But I think Arizona wins by like 4 points.
I hear the points you made. I can definitely see an argument for an Arizona pick here. I'm going to go the opposite way and pick Florida. I can definitely see this game being really sloppy, kind of all over the place. Like you mentioned, college basketball gets really wonky, especially with these opening night heavyweight bouts between two ranked programs. And I do think the guards in Florida are going to struggle a little bit at first. I do think it's really been interesting how much Florida's really been kept under wraps this entire offseason. Even now, with the secret scrimmages that are taking place, I'm sure Illinois is going to be a really good team. But they were able to beat them somewhat handedly. So I definitely hold that to a high degree. But I do think both Xavier and Boogie will struggle slightly in this first game against Zona. I think Jaden Bradley is really going to be in an ideal scenario to cook here. And I do think that he's going to kind of be the go-to guy in this game for the Wildcats and Tommy Lloyd. But when it comes down to it, I think this game is going to be one in the front court. And the retention Florida has in their front court is better than any other in the country. I mean, I'd argue they have the best front court in the country between Thomas Howell, Ruben Shinnilu, and Alex Condon. I mean, you have a guy who's 6'10", playing the three, and Thomas Howell, who can space the floor, shoot the three, take you off the dribble. I think he could pose some problems defensively for Koa Pete, Anthony Delorso, Toby Walker, those guys, just because of the length, the size. Even if Boogie and Xavier, who of course aren't the greatest individual defenders, get beat off the dribble, you still have three giants manning down the paint that are going to be able to protect the rim. And listen, Koa Pete, Braden Burries, these kids are really good, but you're about to be going up against some some proven winners out of the SEC in that front court of the Gators and Todd Golden and crew. And Todd Golden, of course, I speak about it every single time we talk about Florida. Todd Golden does everything he can to combine both basketball head knowledge and the analytics part of the game and to put his players in the best positions on the court to win. We saw what he did in all those comeback games in the NCAA tournament, ultimately ended in a natty. But hey, I'm not ruling out the possibility of Arizona winning. I would give Florida maybe, I would say I'd pick Florida to win by, give me 5 points here. 4.5. I'll
And
put the line at 4.5.
it's a fair thing to say. Obviously, the main choice and probably the line will be on Florida's side, but I just feel like because of the opening day shenanigans we've always got, and
Yeah.
just the
I
pure fact
mean,
that
but
it's a heavy,
the home court is going to help too
yeah,
for
well,
Arizona.
heavy home court advantage. And I think another thing I didn't really mention was just there's only so much tape you can get about freshmen,
Yeah.
and Arizona is a freshman dominant team. I think Florida is not ready for that. I don't think they're ready for Braden Berries and Koa Piat the same way they might have been if it was last year with Caleb Love, for example. And
Oh, go ahead. What you?
no, I was kind of like I was kind of finished my point with that one.
I was just going to add that I think Florida's a deeper team too. I think there's a lot of different looks they could throw out there in the scenario that their starting lineup is struggling, which of course me and Josh both have our predicted lineups to be Xavier Lee, Boogie Flan, Al Condon, Chinny Lou for Florida. You have a lot of different dimensions of guys you can turn to on the bench. CJ Ingram, really talented freshman who, we could be seeing for the first time. Same thing goes for Alex Lloyd. I've also heard Micah Handlockton has looked really good in the offseason. Looks like he's back to his pre-injury form. You also have Urban Clavs, who shot the ball really well in SEC play last year and could definitely get the Gators going if they're in a shooting slump. And I just think overall they're more equipped to put out lineups on the floor that can lead them to success and being able to win this game as opposed to the different amount of options that Arizona has with Tommy Lloyd.
Definitely, definitely.
Well, let me tell you though, if Bryce James throws down a dunk in this game, you're going to be seeing it all over Instagram
If
for
Bryce James plays a single minute,
yeah,
you will
you're
see it
right.
all
You're right.
over every social media you have. Trust me on
Yeah,
that. He will be
and
on
I
the
mean,
bench, but I wouldn't
I
mind
hope
seeing him play.
he has. I hope he has, a better college career than Bronny. And I'm not trying to slight Bronny in any way. I just think he should have been a guy who wasn't one and done. I think he needed to further develop in collegiate basketball. But hopefully, Bryce James kind of has a 2 to 3 year plan set up. We'll see what his father thinks in trying to get him to the league as soon as possible. But I know Tommy Lloyd says he's got a good head on his shoulders, and I'm sure Tommy Lloyd knows better than us. Overall, I'm picking Florida. You're going Zona.
Yep. If I'm
Should
right,
be.
if I'm right, I'm having a little party. I'm having a little party
Yeah.
that night. But
Hey, I'll let you our next preview podcast. I'll let you have your moment there. But
thank you, thank you.
anyways, that's going to take care of everything. I'm really excited for this opening night matchup. I will be at UConn's opening night game, but let me tell you, I will be streaming the Florida Arizona game on my phone and trying to pay attention to that as paying attention to both games as much as possible. So I'm super excited. College basketball is right here. It's right around the corner. We are less than a week away. So let's go.
Hmm.
See the Gator boys can stay hot. That's my pick. You're going Zona.
Yep, I think the
Super.
Wildcats. I think the Wildcats are off the season on the right foot for the first time in a long time, in my opinion.
Yeah.
And Tommy Lloyd gets his much needed flowers.
Right. Overall, should be a really good game. Two great coaches, two great rosters, a lot of talent on the floor, and definitely going to be one that I've circled on my calendar. So that's going to take care of everything. Until next episode, see you all next time.